personal appointments, and to listen to the reports of the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operations of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in public, not a meeting of the public. And as our guests, you are welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask for your order periodically should I notice that these disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. Thank you for your interest in Judson ISD. We have established a quorum, and at this time, board, you may proceed to check in. We do have a quorum. To my immediate left is our superintendent of schools, Dr. Jeanette Ball.
Welcome. We're here tonight at a special board meeting. We have lots of recognitions and an amazing choir, so it's exciting.
At this time, would you please stand for our invocation and the pledges?
If we could all bow our heads real please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you again saying thank you. Thank you for another opportunity to come together and do your will for this district, God. We would ask that you continue to place a hedge of protection around Judson ISD, God. Through this winter holiday season, we would ask that you give traveling mercy, that you keep everyone healthy until we come back again together in January. All these things we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Tonight's colors are being presented by the Judson High School JROTC under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Mark Hyatt. The following cadets are presenting the colors tonight: U.S. Guard Cadet 2nd Lieutenant Tisha Bailon, U.S. Flag Cadet 2nd Lieutenant Deidre Lopez, the Guards Texas Flag Cadet 1st Lieutenant Madeline Tanner, and Texas Guard Cadet Senior Airman Aiden Hickey. Our pledge leader this evening is Daniel Ponce. Daniel is a 5th grade student at Spring Meadows Elementary. He exemplifies what it means to be a Spring Meadows Hawk. He is hardworking, kind, and has a positive attitude. He received AB Honor Roll for the first 9 weeks and was also awarded Hawk of the Month for the month of September. Along with his success in his grades, he has shown tremendous leadership skills and has been selected throughout the year to assist teachers and staff around campus with events such as the Bike Rodeo and Veterans Day program. He is also part of the Battle of the Books team. Daniel aspires to be the President of the United States when he grows up. His parents and family are in the audience, and we appreciate you leading our pledges tonight, Daniel.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Harry, Olive. Olive's turn. Art. Olive. Art.
Thank you. And if we could get a picture with our pledge leader and also our JROTC, please indulge us, and you may be seated for that.
Let me be the first one to shake the president's hand, okay? I'm looking forward to that. That's awesome. Okay, you won't forget us, right? Okay, when you become the president, don't forget me and don't forget these individuals, okay? They're our board members. So we have this for you right here. We're going to take a little picture right here. Let's scoot over away from the microphone so you can come out as handsome as you are. That's yours, and I'm going to put this lanyard on you, okay? And then your pencil, okay? Ready, Daniel? We're going to say cheese. Oh, let's get a little bit more in the middle. Okay.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1.
Got it. Congratulations, Jenny. So if you want to go around, you can fist bump them, or you can shake their hand and say hi. But these are all the board members, okay? So you want to go around saying hi to them? Okay, great. Right there. Perfect. Right there.
And if we can get our JROTC team back in to take a quick picture, and we can thank them. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much.
If we can have Daniel's parents please stand up, we want to recognize you all. You did a fabulous job. Thank you.
And if we could give a round of applause to our Judson High School JROTC team for the beautiful presentation of colors. They always do a really great job.
Perfect. Okay. Cheese.
Big smiles, and 3, 2, 1.
Okay, great. If you would like to shake our board member's hands or give them a fist bump, whichever one you feel most comfortable with, that would be great, okay? So thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. And then the choir, right? Yes. I'm gonna have to do my favorite song. Okay.
And as our fantastic JROTC team is shaking hands and exiting, we thank you again. Incoming is a very special group that we had this evening, the Converse Elementary Choir. As you walked in, you may have heard some beautiful sounds from this beautiful group of students who are adorning us with Christmas carols. They are led by Miss June Tilton, and they were fantastic enough to join us this evening to spread a little holiday cheer, and they are filling a special request from Dr. Ball, her favorite Christmas song.
Remember my favorite song? Perfect. Okay, so y'all ready? And if y'all want to, anybody that feels really brave? Me. All of y'all. Leah. Closer. Leah.
Annie.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Hello.
Okay, ready, ma'am? Here we go.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año de felicidad. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas at the bottom of my heart. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Now y'all can do another one now that it's really on. So as you can tell, they're not shy. They're not shy.
So we got to let them do one more so they can use their microphone because they're not shy, right? Okay, which one? Oh, everybody's going to get a turn, okay? I promise. Jingle bells, okay. Okay, so then y'all take turns. Pass it around to everybody. Okay, here we go.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the hills we go, laughing all the way. Ha ha ha! Bells, bells ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing this ringing song tonight! Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Home is one, is the wide and one horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Y'all did a great job. We are super proud of you guys. Super proud. So now let's take a picture real quick. Okay, here we go. With me with your group, take a picture.
Miss Davis is the principal of Converse Elementary. And don't forget your treat. Two more. This one and then the thespian group. Really quick. We have two more recognitions this evening, and in keeping up with the Christmas spirit, I want to point your attention to the beautiful artwork that you see around our boardroom. These Christmas designs were created by our very own students in an annual artwork contest where students could submit a piece of artwork, and the winner is selected to be the district Christmas card. This Christmas card gets sent to everywhere around our city and in our region, to all of our campuses and departments, and we are so proud to announce the beautiful artwork winners and the talent of the students who created them. So if I could announce the elementary school Christmas card winner, Emma Gottschalk, 5th grade student from Salinas Elementary. Come on up.
Okay? Got it?
Yep.
Perfect. Isn't this beautiful? Look at Emma. Beautiful card. So Emma, you get some cards that you can give to your family and friends, and a $50 gift card that you can buy.
Oh, wow.
Our next winner is middle school student Autumn McPherson. Autumn, come on up. Autumn is an 8th grade student from J-STEM Academy, and her piece of artwork is right over here. Congratulations, Autumn. Awesome job. And our final winner is our high school winner, Ruby Carrillo. Really excited to announce Miss Ruby. I've known her since she was little. She's a 10th grade student at Wagner High School, and there is her artwork. Thank you so much.
And if y'all would like your enlarged one, y'all may have this. Dr. Beals will help y'all kind of in the little foyer area. If you'd like to take, not the board, but the big one. Definitely take those with you so you can display them proudly and show to all your family and friends, okay?
Thank you so much, Christmas card winners. And we have one more final recognition, and this recognition comes from Veterans Memorial High School. So I'd like to invite our thespian theater students from Veterans to come on in. This is a really neat group of students. They are our theater students from Veterans Memorial High School. And recently, come on in, guys. Recently, in November, they traveled to Dallas, the Dallas area, to attend the Texas Thespian Festival. This is a festival where over 8,000 theater students from across the state get together to do workshops, to practice their craft, and compete. So we had several students from Veterans Memorial High School attend this event. They were able to learn from people in their same craft. They were able to practice and network and just really enjoy a weekend full of learning. So out of these competitions, they can compete in the acting field, in the musical field, and also technical field. These particular students were able to, under the leadership of Vanessa White, she is the lead theater teacher at Veterans Memorial High School. Through their hard work and dedication, they earned superior ratings and became national qualifiers in 2 of the events. So I would like to introduce Miss Mallory Zamora. She qualified in solo musical performance. And I asked her if she was nervous, and she said a little bit, but I think that the experience that she had working with the people that own her craft gave her a lot of experiences and cool opportunities to be able to get better. So Mallory, congratulations. And then we have our 2 duet acting performance students. So this is Michelle Finley and Sawyer Goolsby. They qualified in their duet acting performance. They were able to practice and compete against peers in this field, and they did a fantastic job and learned a lot. We're super proud of these students to be able to not only represent Judson ISD and Veterans Memorial High School, but they will be going to Indiana in the summer to represent the state of Texas in this national event. Miss Vanessa White is also here. She's standing right there in the back. And Principal, Mr. Greg Brower. We will be cheering you on and hopefully continue to watch your progress over the next few months. Congratulations. Thank you.
At this time, we are acknowledging our visitors and citizens to be heard. Each member has 3 minutes to speak. We will start with John Mata. Mr. Mata, to the podium, please, sir.
Hello, I just wanted to take a few minutes and bring up, ask a couple questions, really. My daughter, senior at JECA High School, has A and B honor roll every year she's been there, has received acceptance letters from 7 universities, top-tier universities, and Dr. Juarez had a lot to do with that. And it's kind of upsetting to know that she left. I took a lot of problems to her, and it came to light today that I should have brought them here instead. Because apparently the problems weren't from her, they were actually from this committee. We're getting ignored. We're the underfunded high school of this district, and these students deserve a lot better than that. A lot. They deserve to have places to practice their dance teams at. They deserve to be able to afford other things that other high schools have, and they don't have them there. And that's not right, especially for a school that has that kind of turnout. To be able to have students that have been accepted to 7 outstanding universities, it's ridiculous. We should be able to provide those students with the top notch of everything. And instead, they get treated like if they're the bottom of the barrel. And it's not appreciated. Not from us as parents, not from the students. So can y'all answer me why there is no access to a dance room for these beautiful young women to be able to dance and practice in? Why there isn't the more... Victoria, what are you missing at school? Talk. She's shy. There's a lot of stuff. So if one of these board members, y'all have my number, give me a call. She'll talk to you on the phone privately. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Stacia Allen, Dr. Juarez's resignation.
I don't know if the board is going to answer the question as to why Dr. Juarez resigned, but, and I understand that it seems that she resigned of her own volition, but it seems to us that it was rushed and or forced. If that's the case, then I would like to have the superintendent or somebody higher up look into why she was forced to resign. One thing that Dr. Juarez always had an air of was professionalism and her dedication to her students. And if I know her better, she would never resign in the middle of a school year. Never. Because she would want to see the current senior class graduate. She would want to see them do prom. You know how I know that it seems rushed or that she was forced? Is she's been missing for 2 weeks. And the only reason why I know that is because there were no reminds, there were no emails, because her communication is excellent. You know, there's no school tomorrow, and my daughters would have got a remind that there's no school tomorrow. I would have gotten a telephone call, a recorded telephone call that would have said, "Hi, this is Dr. Juarez." And she would have explained all of that. She would have said something. But my point to all of this is that, you also know that last year that the system crashed and nobody was able to take the STAR test, that Dr. Juarez was on it this year, and last year, and everybody took a paper test, and JECA is the only school that took the STAR test. That's the level of dedication that she has to that school. This doesn't seem right. It really seems political why she's missing right now, why she's resigned. I think that the parents would like answers as to why she resigned. She would never do that. She wouldn't do that, and especially missing for 2 weeks, resign, and not tell her students goodbye. Not Dr. Juarez, not at all. You guys owe us some answers, big time. My daughter's been there for 4 years. You know, my daughter's first year in JECA, She had to have her leg broken and reset, and Dr. Juarez set up for her to have special accommodations. What other school you know or principal you know would do that for one single student? She had a student push her around, make sure she got her lunch, notify all her teachers that she would be 5 or 10 minutes late to school, to the classrooms. Her level of dedication is surmountable, and this does not seem right. And I, if nobody else in here, want answers as to why she was forced, because it seems forced, to resign.
Jeffrey Goff.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Goff. I'm here on behalf of my family and my daughter, who is about to graduate from JECA, from the JECA program. She's the first one in our collective families to have done so. So we are very proud of her. I will preface my comments by saying that I was not aware of Dr. Juarez's resignation until I arrived here tonight. So my comments may sound, that's the context that my comments are in. Basically, her absence was without explanation. She was one of the key reasons that morale at JECA was so high, and that was always a consistent thing. She was one of the only individuals we ever observed greeting every single student as they came inside the school by name. Thank you. Her absence was felt throughout the campus. Student body, staff, again, with a reflection how morale has dropped. My daughter, who I am not able to answer her questions as she is asked questions by her friends and her other classmates about where is she? Did she leave JECA? Has she been fired? And you can imagine my daughter, my feeling to hear my daughter come home and tell me that as a whole, the senior class is wondering if she even cares about them, because they feel like they have been placed in the back burner here in the prime of an achievement that is something that many of them have never done before. Staff members have given generic and routine responses as to the reason for her absence, which creates suspicion. And that suspicion points to this board having some involvement. I'm not saying, I don't know that that is the case, but that's what it looks like. Assumptions can be dangerous, so I'm cautious on that. But we received no communication on what was happening. That leaves everyone to making their own guesses, their own assumptions. Her effectiveness in communication, as you already mentioned, with the Remind app, with emails, with the automated phone calls, with one-on-one conferences, for all of that to suddenly stop, completely out of character. And that leads to the suspicion being even greater. The biggest impact that we have noticed with the no communication, because what has happened, is on the JECA student body. To see their morale and their attention drop so low is really disappointing. Thank you for your time.
Captain Gant.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Gant. My daughter is Kalia Taylor. In November or December of 2020, I met Dr. Juarez. We were stationed in El Paso. We were attending Northwest Early College, which has the same curriculum that JECA has. They're on the fast track with graduating with their associate's degree. That's when I met Dr. Juarez, via phone, via email. As the other parents have stated, she's very into her school, into her work. She's very dedicated, and she's very responsive. when we PCS here to San Antonio, she helped us transition from Northwest Early College to JECA seamlessly. I didn't have any issues with the transition. And everyone knows in here that the military transition can be really difficult for parents and for students. So I'm here tonight in support of her. When we needed to take the STAR testing, my daughter wasn't allowed to take the STAR testing because for COVID reasons. However, I wouldn't have known that had Dr. Juarez kept in contact with us through telephone calls and emails. When my daughter had to take the TSI testing, Dr. Juarez was in touch. She was there. She was responsive. My daughter is fluent in Mandarin. When we tried to transfer her credits to JECA, I went through everybody, and it took about 2 months for us to try to get the credits transferred. However, when I went to Dr. Juarez, it was done. Every issue that I had that I took to Dr. Juarez, she had an answer for it. When I contacted the supervisor over transportation, because I couldn't get a school bus to come pick up my daughter, I had to send a video and pictures of what it was like for my daughter to get, why she couldn't walk to school. We lived within 5 minutes of the school. I sent the video and the picture to Dr. Juarez. It was taken care of. Everything that I have sent to her, it was done. She fixed it. So she's proactively responsive, and by far one of the best principals that I have had my child to receive instruction under. I'm in support of her and bringing her back to JECA. Therefore, I do not believe she resigned on her own will, and by having her to resign or forcing her to resign is detrimental to JECA's future success.
Eugene Richardson II.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to sit here and rehash everything that everybody has said. Actually, I'm going to ask for some FaceTime with our superintendent, with our board. Guys, why is this occurring? Our children cannot afford for this to happen. I don't understand what is going on politically, but it's not the place for education. As you see, as parents, we love this woman because how well she treats our children. I am a product of 2 educators, okay? I've been around principals, superintendents, board. I've never met someone who is so in tune and have her finger on the pulse of her school as this woman here. I know what's going on is incorrect and it's not fair. Dr. Ball, you especially, you seem like a woman of intelligence. And I want to send out a true message that this woman should not be punished for anything that's going on internally, okay? I'm a person who speaks from my heart, and I try to speak the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot do this. JECA cannot afford this. This is one of the #1 schools in your district. Do not punish her. I don't know what's going on, but we need to reinstate her now. The parents want her. The students want her. You don't remove somebody that actually has the love of their kids. We all found out about this today, and we're here. We didn't just call you. We didn't go pick it. We came to speak. We all found out about this meeting today. We didn't have any notice. Our kids didn't have any notice. Our kids came home crying when they saw those notices. What if that was your child, Dr. Ball? What if that was your child, Ms. Bashaw? How would you feel? What would you say? What comment that you would bring to the board to make them understand that that should not be happening? I would like to know. I like answers. My wife gets mad at me all the time because of that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. This woman should not be fired. She did not resign. We can sit here and try to make it pretty and want things to be in the light. No, let's be honest. She did not resign. And that is not fair. It's not fair to our kids. It's not fair to the parents. Our children's education depends on this woman being there. I know a lot of y'all feel like you can put anybody in anything, and it'll work to the left, as Beyonce said. But that's not always true. And it should not be our children who suffer because of any internal problems that's going on with the board. I'm going to ask you guys, please reinstate our principal. I didn't just say the kids' principal, I said our principal. Because not only does she know our kids, she knows us. Whatever she asks for from us, we will do for her. How many principals in their other schools can you say that about? That you can really go to and say, I can ask that principal about something, and they know. Dr. Ball, please, as a parent, reinstate this woman as our principal. Thank you.
Janae Richardson.
I would like to say, as a freshman student at JECA, she has given us a promise. At Summer Bridge, she has taught some of us how to do math correctly. She has given us different techniques on how to use math. She has even came to us and talked to us. If we tried to lie to her face, she would say, "That is a lie. Please tell me the truth." She was there for my friends, and she was also there for me too. I do not believe a good principal should be punished for being a good principal. And I also do not believe that what's happening internally in our school is fair. You are not just punishing our principal, you are also punishing our students. Students were crying. Students were sad. And as they were getting on the bus, some were actually yelling at other students saying that this wasn't fair. I do understand that politics have to be followed in some sort of rule or in statement, but I don't believe that this is the way. I want to make sure that Dr. Juarez upholds her promise of seeing us freshmen make it to senior year. Not just the senior year, graduate. She wants us to get our scholarships. She wants us to get our diplomas. She is there for us. This recognition was not just sudden to the parents, but the students too. She is more in touch with the school itself than any of the other staff members. She is more in touch with the school than the counselors. If anything, she should be a counselor, but no, she's a principal, and she is doing her job very well. Ma'am, may I please request of you to rethink your decision? Because I believe that Dr. Juarez is a good principal. No, not just a good one. She's an excellent one. And I want you to know that as a freshman student, I want to see her at my graduation. Please and thank you.
Linda Chapman.
I'm speaking on a different topic here tonight. I just want to talk to you about the vaccines. I want to actually read to you something from Dr. Robert Malone. He's a physician and a vaccine researcher for many years. And this is what he has to say about the COVID vaccines. Before you inject your child a decision that is irreversible, I wanted to let you know the scientific facts about this genetic vaccine, which is based on the mRNA technology I created. There are 3 issues parents need to understand. The first is that a viral gene will be injected into your children's cells. This gene forces your child's body to make toxic spike proteins. These proteins often cause permanent damage in children's critical organs, including their brain and nervous system, their heart and blood vessels, including blood clots, their reproductive system, and this vaccine can trigger fundamental changes to their immune system. The most alarming point about this is that once these damages have occurred, they are irreparable. You can't fix the lesions within their brain. You can't repair heart tissue scarring. You can't repair a genetically reset immune system. And this vaccine can cause reproductive damage that could affect future generations of your family. The second thing you need to know about this is the fact that this novel technology has not been adequately tested. We need at least 5 years of testing and research before we can really understand the risk. Harms and risks from new medicines often become revealed many years later. Ask yourself if you want your own child to be part of the most radical medical experiment in human history. One final point, the reason they're giving you to vaccinate your child is a lie. Your children represent no danger to their parents or grandparents. It's actually the opposite. Their immunity after getting COVID is critical to save your family, if not the world, from the disease. In summary, there is no benefit for your children or your family to be vaccinating your children against the small risk of the virus, given the known health risks of the vaccine that as a parent, you and your children may have to live with for the rest of their lives. The risk-benefit analysis isn't even close. And lastly, I would just say I had printed this about a month ago. This was just a flyer that had information of some of the children that have died from the COVID vaccine. And it was just printed a little over a month ago. At that time, there was 18,461 deaths reported from the COVID vaccinations. That's on the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System database that is on the CDC. It's co-managed by the CDC and the FDA. That's for real. And that was over a month ago. And guess what? That number is 1,000 low now. It's over 19,500 now that are dead from this vaccine. Don't believe me, please email me at chapman985@hotmail.com and I will send you links to investigate this yourself. Do your research. Thank you.
Carolina Mancia and Abigail Corral.
I would like to comment on the resignation of my principal. In the 2 years that I have been at JECA, I have gotten to know Dr. Juarez very well. It saddens me to know that she has resigned without any prior notification to her JECA family. I would really love to know why. There was not even a goodbye from her. She was always there in the mornings at the door of our school to say good morning and to wish us well on our day. It's weird to not see that anymore. I am a part of more than 10 different organizations at my school, and she has always been very supportive in every single way. Dr. Juarez has always been very communicative. She has never failed to keep her JECA family informed on what is happening or what will happen at school. And now she is not there, and it seems like everything is on hold. What does this mean for all of us? We need Dr. Juarez back. We care for her as much as she cares for us, both of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, we move on to item 4, consideration of consent items. And if there are any items that you would like to have pulled, please let me know. 4A, consider and take action regarding approving board minutes from the regular meeting held on July 22nd and November 18th, 2021, and special meetings held on August 23rd, August 24th, September 8th, September 13th, September 14th, November 18th, and November 30th, 2021. B, consider and take action.
Renee, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to make sure that I can vote, so if you can check me in. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Item B, consider and take action regarding approving monthly financial information as of October 31st, 2021. C, consider and take action regarding approving the construction procurement method for the selection of a general contractor for the construction of the welding shop at Wagner High School. D, consider and take possible action regarding approving professional service contracts, construction contracts, and related contract amendments supporting the progress and completion of the 2016 and 2017 construction projects. Item E, consider and take action regarding approving expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. Item F, consider and take action regarding approving the blended learning redesign process for Metzger Middle School and Park Village Elementary as required by the TEA for the Systems of Great Schools grant. G, consider and take action regarding approving the submission of the 2021 tax roll as certified by Bexar County Tax Assessor Collector for the Judson Independent School District. H, consider and take action regarding approving the second reading of Policy Update 118 affecting local policies. I, consider and take action regarding approval of summer work hours for 2022.
Pull.
And who was that said pull? Okay. J, consider and take action regarding approving certificates of substantial completion, supporting progress and completion of the 2016 and 2017 bond construction projects. So we need a motion for items A through H.
I move we approve items A through H on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and this time, Board, you may proceed to vote. Motion passes. Let us move on to item I. Ms. King pulled that. Consider and take action regarding the approval of the
Yes.
summer work hours for 2022.
Yes, I
Dr.
just
Ball.
want some clarification regarding the 1 hour a day of wellness. I know that we had that the previous summer, so is it in addition to a lunch break, and that could be used at any time, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So about 4 years ago, we started to do this, really trying to focus on helping our employees stay healthy, mind, body, and soul. So during the summer, it's one of the extra perks that in addition to your hour or your 30 minutes for lunch, you can go and work out, walk, exercise, run, trying to keep healthy.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Is there a motion for item I?
I have a question regarding that. So, just to put it out there, that was a good question, Ms. King. But if we place that emphasis in the summer, obviously it's too difficult to do during the fall and spring, and why? Not that I'm saying it's a bad idea, I just want to know why.
Because mainly for the reason that we couldn't do it at the campuses. So in the summer, this is offered for the 220 employees, but during the school year, I don't see that it would be fair for the 220 employees to have this opportunity and not for everybody else.
Our hours are extended during the summer too, right? They're 10-hour days?
Correct.
And so that's a long time to be in a closed office environment, so I could see that being a benefit. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there a motion for this item?
I move we approve item I.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded. You may proceed to vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item J, consider and take action regarding approving the certificates of substantial completion, supporting progress and completion of the 2016 and 2017 bond construction projects. I believe this was Mr. Messias?
Yes, it prompted me to think that, is this a standard practice that we do to create this certificate?
It is now, sir. So Helen and the team started this maybe about 2 months ago or so. So now it is something that we're going to give, in addition to the board, more information about our projects.
Okay. And one of the things I recall in the past was that sometimes projects would be deemed complete because we've cut out certain parts of the project and all of that. The board and I guess the administration would know if that's occurred. I guess what I'm trying to say is let the board know if that's happened. If you're in that position where you've deleted a room or you've done something that's just different, because when those changes go in, we may not be aware unless we're.
Yes, sir. Back when that happened about 2 years ago, it was at Park Village, and the board had a very lengthy conversation about different opportunities or possibilities. So yes, we did do that. And if that were to occur, we would do that.
Okay. Okay. So this practice going forward, then we can expect this.
Yes, and then another practice that we will be putting in place is actual visible tours, taking the board on more tours, seeing projects.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am?
So, one of our schools, they have a new library, but they don't have like the shelves to bring the books back in or tables for the kids. So,
right.
Have we received a certificate of completion on?
So what is happening right now, because of a lot of delays in ordering things, there's been shelves, books, lots of equipment, even to the point of technology, even light bulbs we were talking about this week. So a lot of those things are still, we're waiting for those things to come in still.
So once that occurs and the project is totally complete, we'll receive this certificate of completion then, right?
No, ma'am. So the actual chairs, these kind of things, tables, those kind of things aren't part of the completion project. So this part of the completion project is the actual construction of a project.
So it's the construction completion.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
not the furniture
part. And
part.
I'm just curious, Dr.
Sure.
Ball. So the funding for the equipment that actually goes in the room,
It comes from the bond also, though.
it does?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's, but it's a separate project.
It's the ordering of the material part of it, yes, not the construction part.
So then we'll receive two completion certificates, one for the construction and one for once the library has everything it needs?
No, ma'am, just the construction component of it.
So how would we know when, never mind, I got it, because you know how I'm going to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Ball, were you finished, Ms. Neaton?
Yes.
Okay. The thought that comes to my mind, too, is that we've historically have had not a strong enough assessment to evaluate construction projects after they've been completed. I could see us giving this designation, and all of a sudden, 2 years, 3 years from now, there's issues with whatever that project might be. And to avoid any potential litigation in the future, can there be a process that we're reevaluating? And I don't want to hear that the administration goes and looks. I want a more formal process that would be structured behind this. Have you given that some thought?
We certainly have.
Okay.
So Helen is working on that. We will be doing that for all our buildings, so we can bring back some more data and information to the board.
We only have such a short window to ensure that the equipment, our structure or whatnot is correct.
Right, so we're looking at it very thoroughly for lots of different lenses, not only the lens that you're talking about, but also the lens of making sure that they're updated, making sure that they can keep up with the growth, making sure that they're provided what they need for instruction. So it's going to be something that's comprehensive and looking at all the components of that building.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion for this item?
I move that we approve the certificates of substantial completion, supporting progress and completion for the 2016 and 2017 bond construction projects.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. You may proceed to vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, discussion, consideration of action items. 5A, consider and take action regarding approving the Judson ISD 2022-2023 instructional calendar, option A, as presented. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. So what we do, board members, is we put together several committees to look at our calendars to make sure that we're taking the input input from our staff members. So what we do in this year was led by Mary Duhart-Toppin to develop draft calendars. Then ultimately what we do is we give all our employees the opportunity to vote. And what we select is the one that gets the most votes. And that's what you have before you tonight.
Option A.
Yes, ma'am. And I'd be willing to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments? Well, if there are none, you may proceed to vote.
I move we approve Calendar A as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? I'll second that. Now you may proceed. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 5B, consider and take possible action regarding the approval of updating the board advisory committees, Facilities and Infrastructure Committee led by Ms. Keaton and Mrs. Ghosh. Number 2, the Growth Planning and Bond Oversight Committee led by Dr. Fields. Number 3, Curriculum, Instruction, and Technology Committee, led by Mrs. Davis and Ms. Ghosh. And 4, the Finance Committee, led by Mr. Atkins. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. Judson is very unique in that Judson ISD has a board policy. It is BDB local. And this has to do with special committees. So if the board will please give me a few minutes to read this. It says the president shall appoint members to special committees created by the board to fulfill specific assignments unless otherwise provided by board action. These committees may include district personnel and citizens. The function of these committees shall be fact-finding and advisory, but not administrative. Special committees shall report their findings to the board and shall be dissolved upon completion of the assigned task or vote of the board. The president of the board and the superintendent shall be ex officio members of all board committees unless otherwise provided by board action. So what the team has done is come up with committees that will help us move the district forward on some of the critical components of our district. And at this time, we feel that facilities and infrastructure is something that needs to be discussed thoroughly. The update on the Growth and Planning Committee, Curriculum and Instruction, and then a Finance Committee. So these committees would be composed of several committee members made up from parents, teachers, communities, and of course, board members. So I'd like to have a discussion with the board on these committees and then which board members would like to serve on these committees. Of course, always keeping in mind that we cannot have 4 board members on any committee, and my personal opinion is 2 is best because we don't want to get too close to having a quorum. So I'd like to open it for any questions the board may have.
Okay, we'll open with questions. Does anybody have any? Mr. Macias?
Thank you, Dr. Ball. Now, when you were reading the policy, it said that there were board committees, right?
Yes, sir. Would you like a copy?
No, I'll get one. You can always email one to me. But the board committees, but my understanding of it since I've come back is that they're really led by administration, not the board. And so I think that's sort of, am I correct in that? I guess I should ask that question.
It's led by the administration.
But they are board committees. So my point is, if it's going to be a board committee, that the chair or the lead probably should be a board member because it's the board committee in that respect. And we're not doing management of the district, so we're just seeking advice. So that should be appropriate and not micromanaging in any capacity. But I'm thinking you're about to say something. So.
Well, it doesn't really say that. It says special committees.
And so I was on the board when we designed these committees, and then the notion of the advisory committees or these board committees, they would be fact-finding committees that would work on issues in curriculum and on the bond and so forth. But it can't be sort of just administration and community members. It was really designed to advocate for certain things. And so I'd like to ensure that that advocacy is still there in those, in the nuances of the work that needs to be done. And I don't know if I'm seeing that yet, but that's okay. I'm back on the board, so we'll go ahead and look through that and work through it. But I do feel that, I'm talking to my colleagues here, that if it is a board committee, that the board should have a little bit more of a voice in leading that committee. And no disrespect to administration, we couldn't survive without you guys. But it is a partnership, and I say that a lot. The board is not just up here one time a month to, pass policy. We're activists and advocates the entire time that we're board members. So we partner with administration and with our community to create a better environment in our district. This is an opportunity here. And so there's our 4 committees. We as a board have the ability to add to this if necessary. Ms. Pichelle, as board president, will be able to designate board members. But I just feel like that's really the emphasis behind it. And not to say that they weren't doing that, because I know what I saw in the past. Curriculum was doing their work. They had a great committee. I'm just saying simply that the board should take a stronger leadership role and not one of observation on these committees.
I'd like to respond, if
I
I may.
would too. Go right ahead, Ms.
Okay.
Canoyer.
These are advisory committees, so what they're doing is collecting information and bringing it to the board as advice, as setting goals, as giving input. If we're actually running that committee, then we're dictating to the committee rather than having them bring information to us. And so, because if I serve on the curriculum committee, and I know a lot about curriculum, but I don't know enough to be the person who knows the difficulties that we're having in curriculum right now that can say, hey, this is what's going on here. How can we work to fix this? So I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with you on the function of these committees.
Well, she stole my thunder. I was going, that's okay. Because what I was going to say, Mr. Macias, is that the way I look at it is that we are more of a liaison to in these committees. Because we are not employed by the district, we don't have the background on facilities and infrastructure. That has to be an employee. That has to be a staff member. I'm not versed on growth planning and bond oversight, so that would have to be a staff member. I'm definitely not versed in finance, so that has to be a staff member. But we, the way I see it, are the liaisons to the community so that we can say to our community, this is what we have going on.
Well, I appreciate the feedback, and that's why I put that out there for discussion. I will tell you, experience is a good thing. And I'm going to revert back to my time as a trustee for Alamo Colleges. Alamo Colleges has the same structure, and they are led by the board members. The board members are the chairpersons and co-chair of those committees. Administration reports to the board, but they're advisory, and they put the whole dynamic team together. Now, the board chair or the board member doesn't dictate what's going to happen. It's an advisory committee. They talk about what is needed. But what I love about those committees is they actually take items that are potential discussion items that we have here, and they put them in those committees. And then these committees hash out all of the discussion, and then they bring it to the board, which kind of gives a lot of depth behind what is needed in this district. So I would like to lean on that experience because that model works. It actually saves a lot of time, believe it or not, in the boardroom discussing items that we could already have done in the advisory committee before it even pops up. So again, that takes board leadership. And by no means am I saying that we need to go and run things. We call the meeting to order. It's a board committee. And then we take it from there. We yield to the administrative lead. We partner. And so that's all I'm saying. That's how I would like to see these meetings run. Liaison is a very passive word. I don't think we're liaisons. We're community leaders, and we need to be a community leader. So I think there's opportunity there. And I can tell you, when I brought advisory committees back in 2011, that was the intent. And they've kind of evolved. And, well, guess what? We have an opportunity now to really make them something powerful to move our district forward. So that's all I'll say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Diaz.
Are these committees going to be replacing the existing 3 committees that we have?
Not exactly, because we had growth and planning, so that one would continue. We had the business and finance, so that one would still continue. We used to have the curriculum and instruction, so we're going back to that one. The one that I would say would be the newer one would be the facilities and infrastructure. The one that is not on the table at all is one that they have already met and done their work, and that has to do with the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Honor, Hall of Honor, and the insurance, yes, correct. And that'll come back. Once we need. Mm-hmm.
What is the intent of committees?
The intent of the committees is to gather input, gather the data, hear from all the various stakeholders, and then come back and report that to the board, then develop a plan in regards to what work needs to be done, if any.
Who sets the agenda of the topics to be discussed to gain input and discuss?
So it's a two-prong approach. On the very first one, it's usually a senior staff member or senior staff, and then from there, once the committees start happening, then we hear from the stakeholders to see what it is that they would like to discuss. It could be any concern that they might have. They might want more data on different ideas or projects. So it could be a joint decision-making.
Is this item time sensitive?
Yes and no. We would like to start these meetings up again as soon as possible, but if the board would like for me to wait and not have them, sure, I could definitely do that.
So I think as we explored how to better advocate and manage and bring forward policies that make sense toward our end goal in the district, we went through our Leadership ISD training. And during that session, we talked a lot about taking a more proactive governance approach while being inclusive and ensuring that we don't dominate the conversation. I think from my experience thus far, the agendas were, it's very hard for stakeholders to talk about or ask for things to be said on the agenda if they don't clearly have a view of the entire landscape or the intricacies of the conversation. That is where board trustees who are able to synthesize their existing knowledge of being within the system, yet still being a stakeholder in the community and connection to those members, work as, to use a term that's already been used, work as a liaison in those conversations. So I am not comfortable in the former practices that we've had because it's felt like we're very, to our colleague's point, passive in our position and unable to thoroughly help set the agenda of these committees. I think there probably is a better way. If this topic isn't time sensitive, then I'd like to motion to table the item until we get some additional support or insight or best practices, maybe from our Leadership ISD partners, or explore the conversation further to ensure that we do set up the best structure possible to ensure that we achieve those goals.
My one request would be that we at least, the board allows us to continue with at least having one more growth and planning meeting, and then from that, if the board would like for me to stop, I would. I feel like I haven't closed the loop on that, and that I feel I owe those committee members a conversation. So that would be my one request that I have. And then my second request would be is I would like to see what the board would want from me in order to be able to move forward with these.
So, yeah, not, in my opinion, and my intent behind my motion is to not impede our current process so things move forward as are. So that shouldn't stop us from having these meetings of our existing committees. What I would say is, and I'm open to the discussion, is that administration go back and speak to Leadership ISD to explore a variety of manners or mechanisms or committee structures that they have found to be a best practice and help the overall culture of an entire organization. Because I don't want to have us reimagine how we govern in how we set goals and how we gauge our performance toward those goals, yet have a disjointed approach in committees, where I think committees could certainly serve as a wonderful place for us to truly talk about opportunities for growth that can eventually rise to the board level. Go talk to Leadership ISD. That basically would be my approach to that. And then maybe check best practices of other districts.
Okay. Sure.
I have a question for you, Mr. Diaz. I'm looking at the structure for, I just chose a committee to look at. And so I'm looking at the structure for the Facilities and Infrastructure Committee. Listed are advisory members and the term of service and who the members of the committee would be, the number of meetings proposed for the year, and the dates and the time. So, and more importantly, the purpose. So, for example, for the Facilities and Infrastructure, the committee would review facility data, facility needs assessments, demographics, ongoing project status and updates, bond projects and funding. Do you object, or do you have an objection to the committee discussing those type things? Or are you saying that the committee should be discussing things that are more driven by the board?
So it's inclusive but not limited to. And this is fine. I just want to make sure that we set the tone and find the best structure possible. And it may come back that this is the best structure possible. But making sure that we go out and find the best structure possible to ensure that we don't limit ourselves, and that we don't, and that this body doesn't tie their hands in helping set the agenda and having best practices in place from the start.
So maybe, Dr. Ball, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So maybe, Dr. Ball, what I'm hearing, and correct me, that whomever the board member that would be serving would have more of an input on the agenda.
Okay. That's clear. We can do that.
Is that partly what you're saying, Mr. Diaz?
That certainly should be part of it. But again, I don't want to limit us to just that being the solution. So, you know, my position still stands that I want to motion to table this item until we further vet some alternatives, some best practices, or get some additional guidance.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, sir. Well, we're still discussing. So right now, yeah, but he's out of place with his motion, is what I'm saying. Since there's nobody else that wants to speak, at this time, Dr. Ball, Mr. Diaz is requesting that this be tabled, and he did ask you if it is time sensitive. You did respond by saying one more meeting with growth and planning, and then if necessary, we can bring this back to the board.
Right, but I mean, I just want to make sure that I'm very honest and transparent, that it's been difficult to, I get, maybe what I'm not understanding is that, Mr. Diaz, you want senior staff or administrator to work with Leadership ISD, us on our own, and not so much the board, right? Work on this? No?
No.
Okay.
What I'm asking is that we explore the best way to structure committees. So if administration can talk to Leadership ISD and come back with some recommendations on committee structures, that we then adopt a best practice from those conversations. I'm not asking for the committee, I'm not asking for administration to discuss the committee items with Leadership ISD. I want a better structure for committees.
Because the structure that we have on the paper does not seem to work.
Well, it's untested.
It's untested?
So this structure
Uh-huh.
is untested. There are material changes to this structure? Yeah, I want to find a better process, if there is one.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Canard.
I'm actually pretty happy with the way these are constructed. It seems to me that we have addressed a number of making sure that we reach out to more stakeholders in different areas than we have in the past. This is an improvement, in my opinion. And some of this work needs to start relatively soon. I don't know that there's a better way to do committees. I mean, how many ways can you do a committee? And so I'm going to disagree with tabling it and say that I feel like we should go ahead and proceed.
And I just want to comment that in regards to the untested, the few things that I guess I could say would be tested would be is the committee brought one of the best recommendations for insurance from that committee this year. We received little to no complaints about the insurance. The committee really wanted us to look at doing things that were at a lower cost. That's what the committee developed and was able to bring that to the board for approval. So I would say that committee, I would say, looking at it that way, it was successful. In regards to the recommendations for the Hall of Honor, they revamped the entire application process, the selection process. If there are concerns about those, no one brought me those concerns, so I can only go on saying that I'm using that as my information that they went well.
Sure, and that's fair. But you're citing the outcomes of specific items that came out of committee. What I'm talking about is the structural governance, the governance structure of the committee to ensure that we have the best approach at creating a committee that achieves our goals. Madam Vice President, to your point, we don't know if there is a better structure for a committee. So what I'm simply saying is let's explore potential options on how to best structure our committees to ensure that we have the best approach possible. That's it. We might come back that this is it, and we'll adopt it. But it is worth the exploration with Leadership ISD.
So right now, is there any other discussion?
I have a
Yes.
follow-up on all of that. You cited, Dr. Ball, two outcomes of these advisory committees, which ultimately that's the whole goal. We put items on these committees, and it feeds up to the board, and we eventually do something based on that information. That's a good model. I'm going to say that I do agree with Ms. Conoyer. I think the structure is sound enough to move forward. But to Mr. Diaz's point, we have an opportunity to still revamp as we go. I don't think it requires us tabling. I think we can still move forward, but with an eye to have a work session or at least another discussion on revamping or refining our policy so that we are getting a strong return on our investment of time with cabinet and so forth. So I'm excited about the opportunity. I love the idea. We need to have community input, but I'm okay with moving forward knowing it's not a perfect model, but it's a good model. And so we just need to improve on it. And that's just my humble opinion. But to Mr. Diaz's point, continue to explore. I would say Mr. Diaz prompted a very good question. He keeps mentioning Leadership ISD like they're the only game in town. So when we ask Leadership ISD something, are we paying them to give us advice? Are they under contract, or what's the situation there?
Yes, sir, we did sign a contract with them.
And so they can answer a million questions for us without any increase in fees?
No, sir, no.
Well, 500,000. What's the deal on that? Just tell me what the situation is. If we have inquiries like what Mr. Diaz is saying, and we look at Leadership ISD, are we paying them?
She would, if I start to excessively, I'm sure she would start to charge it as a training. But I haven't had I can't say for sure right now because I haven't contacted her for 1 or 2 type questions. I haven't worked out a contract for that.
Okay.
So it was a contract of coming here. I know that Mr. Diaz mentioned Leadership ISD, but there are other
Oh, yeah.
avenues that I could also contact to get training on how to better have better processes for committee structures.
And I will definitely get you in touch with Dr. Flores at Alamo. I'm telling you, that was the best model I've ever seen. So, yes.
I could call him. I have a
Yeah.
good-
So let's do something that's not going to cost anything. Let's continue to move forward because we don't want to stop progress. We want to keep moving forward. But look at opportunities to refine the committees as we go.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I agree that, it doesn't hurt for us to be able to explore different processes. I've been pretty comfortable with this. It's been, very organized in regards to the advisory committees, knowing the dates. The agenda has been set, and also having the experts on the committees to be able to share their knowledge. And so, I've been comfortable with that, but there's always, we can always explore different processes.
Yes, ma'am. I will definitely do that. We will make this a senior staff agenda item and work at getting better. I hope that we would do that for everything, but we will develop, some better processes to run our meetings more effectively.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It would be nice if board members were placed on these committees where they would be most beneficial, because I was on the insurance committee in name only. I just have to be honest. I was like a fish out of water. I have no knowledge of civilian insurance, let alone insurance involving educators. And so I think I made one meeting. Bill?
And
I made one? Okay.
Right.
I
And Ms.
physically made one meeting, and it's not out of lack of concern. It's totally out of lack of knowledge and experience in dealing with civilian insurance. I was the wrong person to be placed on that committee.
Right, and I will take full responsibility for that, Ms. Eaton, because I placed individuals based on a little bit of knowledge that I had, and I don't mind explaining. And what I mean by that is, for example, I placed Ms. King and Ms. Pichelle on the Hall of Honor. Ms. King specifically because she's a graduate of the district, Ms. Pichelle because she had some experience with that, so I placed them on there to try to give us more input and knowledge. I do apologize that I didn't place you on the right one, but because of your medical background experience, that's why I chose to place you on that one. But I will.
But at the same time, you have to understand, I've never had to pay for health insurance, so
Right.
that I was of no benefit to them.
Right. And what
So-
I was planning to do tonight, honestly, is just ask for volunteers on who wanted to be on which one.
Okay, if you want to build a building, you can count on me.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
Yes, there is. There's still that motion on the table, and I want to ask
I'll
one more
withdraw my
time.
motion.
Sir,
I withdraw my motion.
you withdraw the motion? Okay. So at this time, we need to ask if there are any volunteers that want to volunteer for a specific committee.
Actually, I think we need to approve the committees first. Do we need a motion to do that?
Ms. Holmes, I'm going to defer to you. Do I need to have a
Yes.
motion to approve the committees first before we volunteer? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I move we approve the board advisory committees as delineated in board book.
And I will second that. And at this time, you may proceed to vote. So it is unanimous that we will have these particular committees. So now what we need are volunteers, and I'll just give you a second to think about it, and you can let me know which ones you would prefer to volunteer for.
Are you going to go by board member, or do we just put it out there? Or?
Well, I'll call. I'll do a roll call. Ms. King.
Thank you.
Ms. Eaton.
None at this time, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Canoyer?
I can do any of them, but, you know, my experience and love is in curriculum, so.
Mine too, but we can't have too many board members on one committee.
Would you prefer to put me somewhere else? I'm flexible.
Finance?
Absolutely.
Mr. Diaz?
I'll take bond and infrastructure.
Okay. Growth planning, bond oversight, or facilities and infrastructure? Yes, sir.
Bond oversight.
Okay. So right now we have Ms. Eaton and Ms. Rodriguez that's still.
And Ms. Macias?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Macias, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm the first one to say hey, and then you pick me last. This is just not right. No, so we're only doing one and not two committees right now?
Well, if the board would like to serve on two, that's fine. I'm very agreeable to whatever the board would like.
Well, and I guess since everyone's done one for now, we'll just stick with that idea. And there's someone's on finance, right? Because that's the one I was going to pick. Canoyer's on that one.
But you can also. We can have two people on one.
Is there anybody on facilities and infrastructure right now?
I would have to call Ms. Rodriguez to see which one she's going to want to be on.
All right.
There isn't one right now, but.
You can put me with finance.
Okay. So for clarity, right now, facilities and infrastructure still open. Growth planning and bond oversight is Mr. Diaz. Curriculum instruction and technology is Ms. King. Finance committee is Ms. Canoyer and Mr. Macias. And just to reiterate, Dr. Ball and I are ex officio members of all of those committees.
And if you need me to move to facilities because Ms. Rodriguez needs to be somewhere else, I'm fine.
Okay.
You know, I'm flexible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So now do we need to have a motion for the folks that have, no, I don't think so.
No.
Item C, consider and take possible action regarding the approval of the personnel report, and we will do that in closed session. We'll move on to item 6, discussion items and reports. Dr. Ball, superintendent report.
Yes, ma'am. As we had said, every month we will be having a report from different areas. Our report tonight comes from CTE, and I believe Dr. Steele is ready to give us her report.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Ball, and staff and community members. Thank you for being here. Mr. Davis ran me through this, so let me see if I can do it.
There we go.
All right. I'm very proud to represent the Judson ISD CTE program, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of the multiple components that make up career and technology education, or technical education. CTE is actually formerly known as CATE. You will still hear it referred to as CATE, but it is now officially CTE. The purpose of any good CTE program is to align the curriculum with industry standards. We link secondary and post-secondary education. The goal of CTE is not for students to stop learning at graduation. It's to give them exposure to careers and industries so they can make intelligent choices when they go to college. When I went to college in the 70s, it was very typical for people to change their major every semester. One anatomy lab generally cut about half the med kids that I knew. So that's part of what CTE does. We provide those hands-on, work-based learning experiences so kids know Do I enjoy being in front of a computer? Am I excited about audio video? Do I really want to be a film producer? And so it is designed for all students, whether they're four-year college bound, they're going to work and or go to community college, or those that do choose to enter the labor market when they graduate. We want to make sure that our kids are prepared to be successful. And the best thing about it is it contextualizes what is normally book learning in those real world experiences. And so it sparks the kids' creativity and it gets them excited. Judson's CTE program is pretty all-encompassing. We offer 22 different programs of study in 12 different career clusters. We offer currently 108 different CTE courses for students grades 9 through 12. In addition, we have 72 teachers and 3 career counselors at the high school. So we are a pretty comprehensive program. I'm very excited about the fact that Judson has expanded into middle schools. We have 18 different CTE courses for 8th grade that do provide high school credit, and we do provide 27 teachers to middle schools. CTE coding. This is important because you will hear about this. TEA does track it. Once upon a time, this was part of accountability. It is not currently, but we do keep an eye on this because it shows how successful our programs are. So we have a participant someone who takes one class because they have an open spot or I might be interested, and they are called a participant. An explorer completes 2 or more high school courses, but they're not in the same program of study. Concentrators are students who complete 2 or more high school courses in that same program. And finally, we have completers. They complete 3 or more high school courses for 4 or more credits in the same program of study with at least a level 3 or 4 course. This is important because this actually gives students their endorsement that's required for the higher level diploma programs. This is going to show you kind of our CTE enrollment. It shows you the number, and this is district-wide 9 through 12. Now, one thing, as you go down, you'll see in 2021, we had 6,034 students enrolled in CTE. The numbers on the right do not include our courses this year because our students haven't completed them. So on the right-hand side, although the numbers are lower, this does not count really any of our freshman class because they're just starting 9th grade. They may not have had any CTE courses. And of course, our juniors who are completers will be completers as seniors this year. But it does show you we already have 56 students who have actually earned an endorsement in CTE. They've completed their program prior to their senior year. So these numbers are actually extremely strong. And it shows you that 84% in 2021 shows you what a large percentage of our students are actually involved at CTE in all the different levels. Funding for CTE, we are actually a self-funded program. We do not take any money from any core area. Our money is based on our enrollment in CTE. So we are funded through the Foundation School Program Career and Technology Allotment, and they provide us funding for the number of hours students are in CTE courses. And we stress attendance because the students physically have to be there. Okay? And we also receive Perkins 5 federal grant funds. To show you what it looks like, our CTE allotment is almost $13 million this year. All of this money pays for every CTE teacher in the district. It pays for all of the administrative staff, our curriculum, all of our certifications, our tuition and textbooks for our students who attend Alamo Academies, all of our teacher professional development, all of our student, teacher, and travel. And wherever we can expand a program, that's what we do as well. So just so you know, a couple of things we're purchasing this year with our money. It was in the board agenda already, the welding building. We've been able to start to do an actual, because welding is virtually a metal building, but we've been able to fund that through our allotment this year. So that does not take away any money from any other program in the district, because CTE money can only be used on CTE. Our Perkins grant this year, our total was almost $304,000. That is used to pay in part for salaries. In addition, supplies, equipment, and certification. We do have to apply every year and every 2 years. So coming up, I'll be working on that with the rest of our staff. We have to submit a comprehensive local needs assessment in order to qualify for that. And that requires us to look at labor market reports, at what our programs of study are accomplishing. We have to track data about our our EOC scores for our CTE students. It is a very in-depth needs assessment. An overview of a good program of study, CTE program includes the programs of study, the certifications, business and industry partnerships, and active CTSOs, which are our student organizations. A program of study, kind of like we talked about, 3 or more courses for 4 or more credits. It provides certifications, and many of our students are engaged in work-based learning experiences. Most of you know about our health science. We have students who are partnering with Caliber Collision. We have graphic design students who are partnering with Cruising Kitchens. We have multiple opportunities for students to work with our business and industry partners. And again, they earn their endorsement if they complete their program of study. We select those programs of study based on student interest, and just like anything else, students vote with their course choices. So we know when a program of study starts to fall off because students stop registering for it. We also use labor market employment projections from our state and local area. Current programs of study directly relate to 56 of the top 100 fastest growing careers and 82 of the top 100 highest paying careers in Texas. And this information is provided by the U.S. Department of Labor long-term projections. And I get those quarterly. So 4 times a year, I review the labor projections. Our certifications is the second leg of a CTE program. It provides verification of knowledge, qualifications, and competencies. We offer 43 different industry certifications for students, and they range from our cosmetology to our certified dental assistant. Speaking of which, Ms. Nichols' students, again, had a 100% passing rate. If you read Dr. Ball's messages, she gave a big shout out to our dental assistants. That just happened.
We're very proud of them.
Yes, and we do several computer certifications, including the Oracle Certified Associate. Why do we do certifications? So that students know what's expected from them when they go out to the workforce. If I want to get into computer programming, I already know what they're going to expect me to understand. It exposes them to the careers, it increases their employability, and we all know that the more certifications or letters you get behind your name, that all impacts your ability for promotions, salaries, and hiring. Certifications are also part of CCMR. That is one of our accountability factors. I just briefly put that up there because I know you've heard about accountability before, but you see that the college, career, and military ready section makes up a large part of our accountability. A single certification ensures that a student ticks that box for CCMR. All they need is one, and they can get them starting freshman year. Our certification numbers, in 2019-2020, we had 166 students pass one or more exam, and a total of 192 certifications earned. But please remember that last 9 weeks, nobody could certify. So it pretty much tanked us. They were ready, but it really hurt us in certifications. I am very proud to say, because I have talked to other CTE directors, for the 2021 school year, we had 195 students pass one or more exams, and actually several students passed multiple exams, so they earned 356 certifications without being here most of the time. So imagine what we're going to do this year. Our business, industry, and post-secondary partnerships, these are key to a successful CTE program, because we can't say we give you real-world experience if we don't have business partners participating with us. These are some of the ways. Every CTE program has an advisory committee that includes higher ed, business and industry partners, parents, students, and we evaluate our program and we look at ways that we can improve it or grow it. Where does it need to go? They also do donations. The automotive program at Judson received 2 vehicles this year. They do our career day participation. We have students doing job shadowing at our Cruising Kitchens partnership. Of course, all of the health science and the education internships. They also come in and mentor and advise kids. They work with them in competitions. They work tirelessly with our students. Currently, Judson has over 100 partnerships, and that's all across San Antonio. It includes HEB, of course, Jordan Ford and Alamo Toyota, Southwest Research Institute, the D. Howard Foundation, Greater Randolph Partners in Education. We have multiple HEB partnerships, doctor's office, vet's office. I could talk forever with our business and industry partners. The last part of our program is our career and technology student organizations. And again, if you follow Judson ISD, you've seen a lot of stuff out there on social media. These provide students opportunities to develop leadership skills and the workplace skills that they have learned. If you are familiar with FFA, there are multiple scholarships that students earn by participating in FFA during their high school years. DECA, Cyber Patriots, Law and Public Service, the TEXTA, and then of course, many of you are familiar with Skills USA, which includes welding and some of our other programs. They give students that opportunity to see what other schools are doing, to measure their skills against other people, and also to visit with business and industry who do show up at these competitions. Just a couple of pictures of our seat, and this is all from this year. Mr. Brower, you're here. Your Veterans Memorial High School mock trial team, they placed 3rd at regionals. They will be going to state in the spring, and it was their very first competition for a mock trial team. So we were very proud of them. Judson FFA, they competed at the district level, and 5 of our teams advanced to area. Our, again, Veterans Memorial. I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, sir, honest. Play into my audience. The Cyber Patriots advanced to state, and then also our Wagner, never want to leave out Wagner, our culinary students got to compete in the cupcake battle, and they did win best frosting. If you ever get a chance to be a taster for the cupcake battle entries, that is awesome. So, and this is just a few of the multiple things our students can do. I do have a very quick 30-second promotional video. If we haven't seen it. See if I can cue this up. Our wonderful...
Hi YouTube, this is Chad and Steve. We're the co-founders of the site. We've been acquired by Google.
This aired at our football league.
Discover your future opportunity in one of our many Judson ISD career and technical education programs. Enhance your skills needed to advance your career choices. Engage in hands-on work-based learning experience from a variety of programs offered for both high school and middle school students. Launch your career path today at Judson ISD.
So we have been very excited about our social media. A shout out to Miss Castaneda, who could not be here tonight. Her daughter has a choir concert. But she does our social media. So please make sure that you follow us. And any questions?
I just want to make a comment. Last weekend's FFA was amazing. Yeah, it was. It was really proud of what the kids do, how they run that on their own, the dedication, the hours, countless hours that teachers put in that. Mr. Trees, Ms. Verstuff, so many others. Just amazing what they do.
And I was able to go and observe and take their tour, and I know what the FFA does. And so in CT, the programs are great, but all of our programs are. The only question I was going to ask, but you already answered, is if the demand occupations, if we know what those demand occupations are, and I see that we do, and we've got so many kids that do get their credentials, they get their certifications and licenses. Do we know if they move on into those areas with their certifications? Do we know? Are we able to track how many of them have gotten jobs in those areas?
That's something that we're working on. We do find that a lot of our students go on to college, so it does become harder to track in that way, but that is on our items for the spring, is to work out a system so that we can at least track those that move on.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Doctor. Are there any other questions? Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you for bringing this presentation. I think those of us here on the board are familiar with all the different avenues that we provide for our students, but I know that the general public may not know all the opportunities that their children can have if they join us here at Judson ISD. So this is going to be a presentation that I can direct community members to see how well we're doing with what we're doing and all the different kinds of avenues of success that we can provide for our students. So thank you so much.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to make an adjustment. Mr. Atkins, see you then. We're going to make an adjustment. We are going to move our item 5C, the closed session item, up to, we're going to move that up right now. So at this time, we are going to go into closed session, and then we will come back and finish the other discussion items. So at 7:49 p.m., we will move into closed session. Okay.
Mike, give us a head. Lacey, it's from right here. If you could just hit that part. Oh, perfect.
All right, we are back in open session at 8:49 p.m. Item 8, well, oh my goodness. Pardon me. I'm looking on my iPad. Okay, here we go. Item 8A, consider and take possible action regarding the personnel report and updates, including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendations as discussed in closed session.
Excuse me, Ms. Canoyer, you're seconded? Okay. That motion has been moved and seconded. We are going to need to have the screen. Okay, thanks, Mike. And board, you may proceed to vote. That motion passes unanimously, so that means we have a director, 8,
Do you want me to read them?
a athletic coordinator, head football coach at Judson High School, and the athletic coordinator, head football coach, Veterans Memorial. Dr. Ball, would you please read those?
Sure. So I'd like to start off first with our Chief Innovation Officer. That'll be Cecilia Davis. Congratulations to you. Director of Finance and Budget, Scott Stevens. So congratulations to him. Then we also have the athletic coordinator, head football coach for Veterans Memorial High School, Robert Irvin. Congratulations. Athletic coordinator, head football coach for Judson High School, Coach Mark Soto.
Congratulations, everybody. And at this time, let's just take a 5-minute intermission and congratulate these people.
Thank
in open session, and we will continue with item 6B, the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, the first presentation.
Okay, technical difficulties. Oh, we still didn't get there. It's the operator. Oh, thank you. Good evening, Board, Dr. Ball. This is our annual public meeting for our first report, and we are here proud to press the wrong button. To announce that we then got an above standard rating. This first report was put into place in 2001, and it's to make sure that schools are managing their finances correctly. We have to hold a public meeting, that's what we're doing. And if you get a substandard rating, you have to file a corrective action plan with TEA. And we got superior achievement, the top rating. The following 15 criteria were used, and the data comes from the 1920 fiscal year because it's always a year behind. The first one is, did we file the audit report on time? And we did. We filed the audit report January 21st. Now that was outside the window, but because of COVID, TEA extended the timeline. The next one was there an unmodified opinion in the audit, and an unmodified opinion means it's a good audit, and we did receive an unmodified opinion, and the district has had unmodified opinions for 20 plus years. Was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all its debt? Yes, we made all our debt payments on time. At the end of June 30, 2020, total debt was about $593 million, and our debt payment that year was about $38.2 million. Did the district make timely payments to TRS, Texas Workforce, and IRS? And yes, we did. The auditors checked that. Was the total unrestricted net position balance in the government activities column in the statement of net position greater than zero? And it's not being scored this year, and that's because it's actually hadn't been scored for 2 years because we now have to carry the unfunded portion of TRS's liability on our books. Was the average change in unassigned fund balance over 3 years less than 25%? Or did the current year's unassigned fund balance exceed 75 days? And we were at 17.19%. Was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenditures? And yes, we got 10 out of 10. We had 166 days. Was the measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio of the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? We got 6 out of 10 here, and we got a 2.1, and that puts us in the ratio between 2 and 2.5. And you have to be a 3 to get 10 points. Did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures, excluding facilities? And if not, was the district's number of days of cash on hand greater than 60 days? And again, we get 10 out of 10. We have 166 days of cash. Did the school districts average less than a 10% variance when comparing budgeted revenues to actual revenues for the last 3 fiscal years? Our variance was at 5.24%. Number 11, was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency? The ratio of ours was 0.709, so we got 6 points. And granted, for the ratio between 0.7 and 0.8, and you have to be below 0.6 to get 10 points. Was the debt per 100 of assessed property value ratio sufficient to support future debt payments? We got 8 out of 10. Our ratio was 5.4, with between the 4 and 7 range. Number 13, was the school district's administrative ratio equal to or greater than the threshold ratio? And we had a ratio of 0.515. We got all 10 points because it's less than 0.0855. Did the school district not have a 15% decline in the students to staff ratio over 3 years? We did not. We got both parts of this. We had a 1.23 increase in the student to staff ratio and an overall increase in enrollment by 562 students. Was the school district's ADA within the allotted range of the district's biennial pupil projections submitted to TEA? And we got all 5 points. We were at 2.26 variance. Did the comparison of public education information management systems data to like information in the school district's audit result in a total variance of less than 3%, and we were at 0.36%. Did the external independent auditor report that the AFR was free of any instance of material weakness and internal controls over financial reporting? And there were no findings. Did the external independent auditor indicate the AFR was free of any instances of material noncompliance for grants, contracts, and laws? And there were no findings on material noncompliance. Number 19, did the school district post the required financial information on its website in accordance with the government code? And yes, we did. And did the school board members discuss the district's property values at a board meeting within 120 days before the district adopted its budget? And we talked about values at every one of our budget workshops. Other information relating to the base indicators of Superior. It's not an indication of monitoring or need for improvement, but it should be relaxed. Financial streak, we enjoy a very strong financial position over the past years. Some of the primary indicators is our liquidity and available resources. Over the last 5 years, fund balance has averaged 36.16% of total expenditures. Tax collections, again, that's a large part of our revenue, and 98% is usually what we budget. And you can see our current collections are right at 98%, but our total collections are above 99%. Operating cost management, this is a change in fund balance, basically against fund balance percent of expenditures, and you can see that we are doing very good. Our administrative cost ratio, very low compared to what the state allows. We're at 5.15%, and our range is below 8.55%. And in 2007, they added some new disclosures to the first report. We have to post a link to the contract of the superintendent. We show the reimbursements received by superintendent and board members. Where there's, do what? Right there on the far right. Let me see. Yes, ma'am. There was no outside compensation and/or fees received by the superintendent for professional consulting or other personal services. And gifts received by executive officers or board members and first-degree relatives in any fiscal year, none were reported. Business transactions between school district and board members for fiscal year 2020, none. That is the end of the report. I will take questions, answers, or comments.
Myself, I guess, I just want to thank Bill for all his hard work that he does to do all this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. 6C, discuss the district bullying and student disciplinary strategies. Mr. Macias.
I know I put this on the agenda for November. Unfortunately, I wasn't here, so I think I had asked for it in early November. So a lot of developments probably occurred during that period of time, which is good, and I appreciate that. Obviously, the issue of bullying and student discipline is not exclusive to Judson ISD. Right now, it's something we're seeing everywhere. But just because I put this on the agenda, can you tell me a little bit about what we have done in a comprehensive sense with this?
Yes, sir. One of the things that you had asked me to do is to look at our cases reported from previous years. I can tell you that they have gone up a lot, and I think it's exactly what you had said. It's not exclusive to Judson ISD. We are basically, I'll give you the example of having 2 freshman classes at a high school, and what I mean by that is there's some students that have truly not ever been to the high school, even though they're sophomores. And just in talking to a student 2 days ago, he's a senior, and he said, "Oh, Dr. Ball, the freshmen are finally learning that they're not in middle school anymore." You know, so I think it's an adjustment that our kids had not been in school for a while, not trying to make excuses, but to say that we're having to reteach a lot of things, a lot of practices that we had in place as to how to behave in school. But in addition to that, our students are coming with some social emotional things that they've never had to deal with before. So we're doing a lot of things in-house, whether it's communities and schools. We've added social workers. We've added counselors. One of the things that we're also adding is the service that the district would be picking up the cost also for them to have outside counseling services, because that's something that's very needed for our students. So we're doing that along with making changes at our DAEP center to have more structure. They're also adding the police presence there at the campuses, and then also along with some administrative changes.
The newly created position for, what is it? It's so new, I'm not even used to saying it.
The Director of Pupil Services.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We certainly can look at maybe, I don't know if it's information, but I brought a case recently to you about bullying at one of the middle schools that we had. And the solution was to transfer the student to another middle school. I think that's ultimately what occurred. So parents, I don't know why they don't realize that they can make that request, and I would encourage a parent to be told early on if this is problematic, because, I mean, obviously the mental health of the student during the duration in which it takes to make a decision to do that could be detrimental to their learning. And so in this one instance, I don't know if the parent knew that was an option.
We do tell our parents sometimes, maybe we don't tell them early enough, but we are starting more and more to tell our parents that truly they have a choice when they come to Judson. A lot of the parents, though, pick different choices first to try to allow, whether it's counseling to work, mediation to work, sometimes even, okay, let's see if the children can become friends, maybe they can work it out. So every parent is a little bit different. Some of them want to go and just remove them and go to another campus. Everyone is a little bit different, but we do try to give the parents as many options as possible as to what is best for their child.
And I think you did not mention, but the fact that you reinstated that old cabinet position, the one that now that Mr. Hernandez will be.
The director position? Yes, sir.
That position will be helpful, I think, in trying to address some of the issues that we have early on. So, I mean, I feel like we've done some things. I guess the question I would ask or pose is, what are we doing to empower our teachers, or protect our teachers in the classroom as well as on campus? Because I'm still recalling that, unfortunately, one very visible social media post where a small teacher didn't have the ability to break up a fight and was actually risking their own health and well-being. So I don't know what the answer is, but certainly I'm open to discussing it. But you're our superintendent, so are you taking steps to take input from staff about what we can do to also ensure their own safety?
Absolutely. Some of them have recently told me, depending on the situations, that one campus asked me if that day that they come back from the Christmas break, if they could have more, I was going to call it CTI training, but it's not that. I'm going to ask one of the members of senior staff to help me. The training that they do for restraining students, CPI, thank you, CPI. So they've asked me for more training on that. They've asked for de-escalation type techniques. So we are seeking their input and trying to come up with the best strategies to help them.
And will that be in January, or we're still in?
Throughout
the year?
Some of them are already doing it as soon as January, but it'll be throughout the semester.
And I'll put this out there too. Our subs, they don't get that kind of training. At least I would imagine they don't. So, and right now, in some instances, when you look at some instances that may show up on YouTube or social media, it is usually a sub who doesn't have the requisite training in dealing with students' disciplinary issues that open up a whole different can of worms. So we might have an opportunity to lead as a district to determine what we can give subs as that extra support, if you will.
I think that's a great idea. I would definitely be inclined to paying them to come in and receive the proper training so then they could be successful.
And I think if we did something like that, obviously we're making an investment. There's no guarantee the sub will stay or come back. I get that. But when it comes to addressing students, we can't have a weakness, and I think subs, there's opportunity there to help them. I guess I'll keep looking at this because we could talk about this for a long time, and I don't want to do that. But looking at the data, the reporting methods, in the past, I've been told that we've underreported discipline issues. We've kind of categorized them in other buckets. And so as I'm re-examining this, I want to make sure that we're looking at the entire picture and doing it as accurately as possible.
Right. So just as recently as this past Tuesday, when we had our administrative meeting, we went through the criteria again of retraining administrators in regards to what does a bullying case look like? Which ones are truly bullying? How do you determine if it's bullying? What are your next steps? So we will continue to do that so it's kept fresh in everybody's mind. And then I'll ask the principals to redeliver that information with teachers also.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
You know, we kind of had a little discussion about the city council member from Kirby. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I mentioned to you that some of the information that she had also came from the internet, you know, with TikTok, Snapchat, and you know, and I know young people. This is totally a new thing, generationally wise. They have all of that, but it was just ironic that right after we talked about that is when that young man did this last shooting, and he had put everything on Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, all of it, and his parents knew it. And it was the first time the parents were called up to the school is because one of the teachers saw him on TikTok, and they brought the parents up. The couple of days later, the parents had just left the school when he started shooting. He went to the bathroom and came out shooting. All of it had been on social media. So I don't know how we can do this other than just listen a little bit more to the kids when they express concern about something that they see on these platforms? Because I through my lack of knowledge of all of the different avenues, found out from my nephew that it's not just Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. And all. They got a slew of stuff, and some of it is kind of, he called it underground stuff, but they talk about it. And so, I just want the kids to, some kind of way we get the message out to them that when they see something like that, say something to a teacher or an administrator, and let them take it from there. They don't have to get involved because they're afraid of be getting, they're going to start getting bullied and all that. But I just thought about that when, because of the conversation we had about the city councilwoman from Kirby. But anyway, I just saw that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, and I found something. I was trying to find it so I can show it to you. I'm going to find it and show it to you.
Please. But
it's so cool for the classrooms. It's very inexpensive as far as securing those doors.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
6D, discuss the use of the ESSER funds. Mr. Macias?
Sorry, you provided an updated budget, right?
Yes, sir. It's a sheet that looks similar to this. Everybody should have
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yes,
I see that. It looks very similar to the one that I requested last time, but I suspect you made the adjustments based on what we paid at 4.2 million, right?
Yes, sir. We've made, so what we do is we meet on this on a regular basis, look and see what we spend, what we've not spent, is look at our needs assessment, look at our campus and district improvement plans, making sure that we continue to meet the needs of our staff and align the needs. So we're constantly talking about this.
Can I then just ask that as you are continuously working on this budget, that the board be provided those updates?
Yes, so would monthly be okay, or how often?
Monthly is
Okay.
fine.
Yes, sir.
But I'll give you an example. I do respect the fact that we have 1.5 million in student engagement and retention programs for 3 years. 1.5, I'd like to know, I know it's in progress, so it's still in development, but I'd like to know what that decision is looking like and how we're evaluating that. So.
Yes, sir. We will. That one is a new one that was not previously. That one's one that we have been talking a lot about, a lot of research shows that if you keep your students engaged, if you keep them in an appropriate structure type setting, keeping them off the street, keeping them, like one of the things that we're talking about is doing a summit for our students, giving them the leadership skills, talking to them about what suicide, how to deal with that, even to the point of if you have a friend that's talking about it, how should you report that? How do you help them? Keeping quiet doesn't really help anybody. So just a variety of things, but I'll continue to keep you updated with that.
Yeah, I did notice on the social emotional, which was the line item prior to that budget's been reduced, but I suspect with something like student engagement and retention is where some of that, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. I want to kind of see what we're doing with that. This is, I won't say once in a lifetime, but it may literally be a once in a lifetime opportunity with these funds.
It's ironic as it sounds for me to say that, though I like the funds, I do want it to be once in a lifetime because I never want to go through COVID.
Of course, of course. But we have this one opportunity, and I want to make sure that we're utilizing it. Now, in this, is there a breakdown of any...
Mr. Macias, if I could share one more thing that also helps us stay aligned to this, is we're also required to provide reports to the state to this. So I'll also share those with you because one of the things that we have to look at is, due to COVID, why is this a need? So we have to share that with the state so I can share that to the board because anything that we spend on this has to be based on, because of COVID, this became a need, and explain that situation. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just didn't want to forget.
Well, and I was going to say that largely I would not recommend a lot of personnel on these budgets because it's not sustainable. But I do see like 2 counselors on here. But that they're aware of it. You're aware of it. It's just
right.
Very
I
different.
mean, eventually when the money runs out, it'll be through attrition. That we start to deal with it. There are some personnel items in here, but specifically the counselors, social workers, those types of things are very much needed at this time.
Okay. All right, well, this is a good start. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, unfortunately, ma'am, these are the things that we get for charter schools. That's why we're doing our very due diligence, such as having a chief transformation officer so we can provide more things, providing things that other places can't, like the student engagement, whether it's the fine arts, the mariachis, the athletics, the science camps, the, leadership camps for kids. Everything that we want to do, we want to make sure that we combat this a monthly reoccurrence of more and more charter schools. Like somebody told me just earlier when they walked into the meeting, she said, it seems like everywhere I turn around, there's another charter school. But again, I don't want to sound, that I'm negative on charter schools. It's about us providing more choices to our families, that the choice that somebody would want to leave our district for no longer exists because we offer everything within our district. But we soon will, ma'am. Everybody has those dates and schedules. Betty will. I need to talk. Oh, Ms. Pashal, sorry. If you could turn on your mic, I apologize. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that those are starting pretty soon. Betty will help everybody remember. But if y'all could also mark those on your calendar, and then we will keep the board updated on those also.
And just to remind the board that if you look at the item, you open up the attachment, it gives all the dates of when those meetings are. Okay. Is there any board trainings, conferences, events, future agenda items that any of the board members would like to speak on? I'll start with Ms. King. Anything?
No, I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Ms. Eaton.
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Canoyer.
Not at this time.
Mr. Macias.
Yes, next month or in January, I'd like to look at an agenda item for discussion on our fraud and abuse hotline. That's something that I've been requesting information on, so I'd like to discuss it.
Excuse me, Betty, just so I won't forget, will you give Mr. Macias the form so then I have it on my mind and I won't forget, sir?
And Mr. Diaz?
No, ma'am.
I don't either. I would like for us to just, for the record, we're moving on to item 8. Items that were discussed in closed session we have taken care of. For the record, Ms. Holmes, there's no discussion on item 8B or C. And with that, if there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Have a wonderful vacation. And for those of you all that are still going through some things, we're keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. And remember Ms. Rodriguez. She is home now, and she is getting better day by day, but she's going to need a lot of recovery. So just keep her in your thoughts during this season. Thank you. And at 9:31.